I wanted to invite on stage a pioneer who has transformed the landscape of video conferencing and how we all work. His laser focus on delivering the best product experience has been key to his success. The company he founded has facilitated over 7 billion meeting minutes last month. Please join me in welcoming to the stage the founder and CEO of Zoom, Eric Yuan.
Thank you, Spencer. Thank you. Wow, a lot of people.
Thank you so much for joining us, Eric, today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So I wanted to go back and to the start of Zoom and maybe start with a little bit of the story of Zoom, how you were inspired to create it, what were the experiences before that really convinced you that there was a big opportunity to create a company around video conferencing?
Actually, the other day I was at my great friend Drew Hostin's Dropbox conference. You know, Drew, he shared his experience to start his business when he was riding on bus, right?
Yep.
So my story is more like riding on a train. So, and when I was before I went to college, and the summer before I went to college, I met my girlfriend. Now she's my wife now. So when I was dating her in the college, I was in China back then. You know, the city, you know, and my college and her college is very, very far away. I took a 10 hours train to visit her twice a year. And more like a daydream at that time. I thought about, wow, in the future, if I can build something with a small device, just one click, I can see her, that'd be great. And I thought about a lot, actually, until I built Zoom. The first time I saw the Zoom prototype, I realized, wow, I thought about that before. So that's a story. So. If some of you want to live, you know, to start a company, ride on bus, ride on train. So that's where the idea comes from.
Transportation's key for coming up with new ideas. Gives you lots of time to think.
That's very true.
Yeah. One of the things that you've done an incredible job as CEO of making it clear what the company is about has been when it comes to customer happiness. It's a mantra that's, you know, whenever anyone hears you speak is constantly repeated. What was it that led you to say, hey, our focus as a company needs to be on customer happiness?
So to make a customer happy is extremely important. That's probably number one, you know, priority for us at Zoom, because you know I understand the purpose of life. When I started a company, already 41 years old, very old, right? So based on Silicon Valley standard, so I realized the purpose of life is to pursue happiness.
Pursue happiness.
Happiness.
Yeah.
The sustainable happiness comes from making others happy.
Others happy.
For me as a CEO, very simple. If I can make our employee happy, our employee together can make our customer happy, I'm very happy. Because, you know, I had the experience before. Before I left the Cisco WebEx, I spent so much time on making WebEx better. Guess what? I did not see a single happy customer.
Yeah.
I was not happy. That's the reason why I left. That's the reason why I really wanted to make sure customer happy. Then I'll be happy.
Has that ever been challenged, or you know, have you ever had a challenging moment where folks have been like, is that really the most important thing? Is it not, you know, we need to drive for revenue or drive for the growth of the company or drive for something else that we're trying to deliver?
Absolutely. So when we started, we do not have a sales team. Very soon we have, you know, we hired a sales rep, sales leaders. You know, from their perspective, you know, top line revenue growth always most important thing for them. Nothing wrong about that. However, you know, sometimes if you lose the, you know, the focus to make a customer happy, you know, even if you can achieve your quota this quarter, you may not achieve that next quarter, right?
You're not building for the long term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, to build a long-term sustainable business is really important, you know, especially for software as service. If your customer not happy, they can switch to other service over the night.
I'd love to hear an example or two of you guys really focusing on customer happiness, or an example that you're proud of at Zoom.
I think it's got to start from product managers, right? All of you, right? It's very important. So first of all, you know, when you build the service, you need to understand the customer pain point. Really understand why you build this feature, why you build a service. And during the time to build a service, you have to eat your own dog food, right? If you do not use the service, if you do not like it and don't give it to customer, after you release those features or service to the customer, you need to have a mechanism to always get a feedback. And the reason why I come to here, I think most of you are product managers. For any of you who are using Zoom, I want you share with me the feedback, right? I think it's really important to get the feedback.
Yeah, so it's constantly getting that feedback. What have there been other things that product leaders can get distracted by that are different from customer happiness or that come in conflict with it?
I don't think so because, first of all, you're right. There's so many things, especially for startup companies. A lot of things probably will distract you, to focus on other things. However, you need, especially, for the like you, right, the product-driven, founders and the product managers, you got to understand that the number one priority is to make sure you build a product customer-like. That's very, very important because the way I look at the product is if your product does not work, I think you cannot blame anybody else. The product manager responsible for that.
Yeah.
Exactly. If your product works, credit should go to the product managers, engineers, or maybe the sales team as well, right? Yeah. So that's the key.
Yeah. One of the consistent themes I've heard in talking to Amplitude customers that they struggle with is if you look at the number of people who touch the product in an organization, you can get into the hundreds or in some places even thousands of people that, whether it's an engineer or product manager or designer or so on. How do you think about creating an organization that keeps all those people aligned?
I think, first of all, culture is very important, right? You have to have a culture so everybody understand. Our goal is to make sure build the best product, make sure people love using the product. That's a culture. Another thing, you need to build a trust, right? If you have an organization, right, product managers do not trust the engineers, right? You say, I have a great idea, you cannot write the code. All the engineers, wow, the ideas from product managers may not work. They have a huge problem. So build a trust between product managers and engineers is very, very, very
building
important.
Trust within the team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure, probably have engineers, product managers might come from different offices or sometimes even from different countries. You should give them very good tools, right? You should use Zoom. So,
yeah. What about what happens when the team gets misaligned from the goal? Where someone says, "Hey, I think we should pursue this metric," and someone else says, "Hey, I think we should pursue this one," and we're losing sight of the long term.
I think bringing customers in a loop. Quite often, you should understand why is that? Because obviously this is the problem. What's the root cause? Because if you talk with the customers, you try to understand what's the direction. The more time you spend on talking with the customers or maybe prospect, the better for you to make the right decision.
Yeah, one of the rules we have at Amplitude is that everyone on the product team should spend 50% of their time talking with customers.
No. 70%.
70%, even better. I love it. Yeah, because there's always a lot of things to do. Hey, I need to create this new spec sheet. I need to have this meeting. A lot of things to do besides talking to customers, and it's often very easy to get distracted by the internal work without remembering that ultimately you're there to drive customer happiness.
Yeah. So early stage at Zoom, actually, we do not have a lot of product managers or engineers. Quite often, all those early adopters, they became our product managers. Some
early adopters of the Zoom product then worked at Zoom.
Yeah. And not only that, some of the early users, right? For sure, they work for other companies. They are from engineer team. They volunteer to write a code for us because they really like our product.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it that made it stick out for them?
Because first of all, they use the product, right? They use that. They really like that. They want us to improve the product every day. Sometimes we're a little bit slow, right? Because the size of the company very, very young, and they want to help. Yeah.
How do you, especially now that Zoom is at scale, how do you prevent the organization from breaking down into silos? So you've already said, hey, driving similar sort of culture, driving trust in the team, but how do you actually get them to an organization to work together and not behave in silos where someone's looking at different data set or different objective?
I think teamwork is very important, right? Really make sure, if you have a great culture, every day talk about those metrics, either the product metrics or your company, the metrics, right? Share with the employee transparently. Essentially, you want to create a culture where everyone, at your organization, they feel very proud. If customers share with you the good feedback or negative feedback. So essentially, when you build a company, for the first several years, the culture should be the product oriented.
Yeah.
Everybody focus on how to make a product better, how to make a customer happy. I think if you share the same goal, everybody talk about that, I think everything else will follow.
Has it changed over time as the company has scaled?
Yes, absolutely. See, like after you have a very good product, right? You sort of needed to shift your culture a little bit to focus on sales.
Yep.
You know, starting from CEO, from product managers, you got to join more meetings with customers and get a real feedback. And after a while, you know, maybe you should back to the product-driven culture. It should take the turn. So,
what if you're able to, I'd love to hear some of the key metrics that you guys look at within Zoom to measure customer happiness or to think about customer happiness. How do you know how well you're doing on that mission to achieve customer happiness?
So our number one metrics we measure every quarter is NPS score. That's very, very important. So that's the number one important thing. Our NPS score is 71. If next quarter down to like a 65 or
that's
60,
a problem.
That's a problem. It's a huge problem. I will stop everything to look at that, try to understand what had happened, and then to fix that. That's the number one important metrics.
What have been the things that you see that have driven it down, and what have been the things that have driven it up?
I think quite often, like, you know, if you look at Zoom, right, reliability, security, you know, the quality is really important.
Quality is number one.
And also sometimes customer share with you the feedback, how to improve the product. You got to deliver, right? Otherwise, you know, you say, I'm going to deliver next quarter. But guess what? 1 year later, the product's still same, right? You have a huge problem. So you will lose the trust.
Yeah. So how do you get the team refocused on those things? You just come in and say, hey, look, you know, NPS is down. This is really important for us to fix. You know, we got to make sure to double down and focus on quality.
I think, again, you know, back to your 70%, it should be 90%.
90% of the time just talking to customers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It does not work 100%.
Do you how do you actually hold people accountable to that? Do you track, you know, how people are spending their time?
We do not check that because we trust our employees.
Yeah.
But we do
set that expectation.
Based on NPS. If NPS score is good, you know that the company is doing relatively well.
Tell me about, let's switch over to talking about the organization and how do you keep, so just like you want to keep customers happy, you know, now that you have an organization at scale, a really key thing is to keep employees happy. How do you think about doing that and what it takes to make sure that the organization is happy?
So, again, you know, recently a lot of people, we talk about that idea. So extremely hard to measure the happiness, right? Not like NPS score. That's why recently I talked with a friend. I tried to convince him to start a company to measure the happiness. So I do not know when he can deliver that. So from our perspectives, every morning, I told all of Zoom employees, and every morning when you wake up, the first question you should ask about yourself is, are you happy?
Are you happy?
Yeah. If you're happy, please come to office as early as possible, right? If you are not happy, you can feel free to stay at home. 1 day, 2 days, that's okay. We still pay you, right? And take a step back, try to understand the root cause. If family related, you know, or maybe business related, I got to focus on the root cause. You know, like this morning, to be honest with you, I was not happy. When I realized I need to come to San Francisco and 3 hours on the road, I cannot join this meeting via Zoom. Seriously, I'm not happy.
We'll get you on the conference screen.
But for those of you who are not using Zoom yet, after this session, if you can become a Zoom user, I'm very happy. So.
One of the things that actually really impressed me is before we even had met, I think you had emailed me personally just saying, hey, Spenser, I'd love to grab 20 minutes over a conference and get your feedback on Zoom as a product.
You did not give me the feedback yet.
I need to give
That's
you the feedback.
That's why I come here.
So, yeah, no, it's worked. We're happy users. It's worked very well for us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now that Zoom has gone through an IPO, congratulations, by the way. What's next for Zoom as a company?
I think I keep working as hard as we can. Right? Keep delivering happiness to our customers. So every day, feel very proud. Right? If we keep innovating, make sure customers really enjoying Zoom service. Because we feel like not only do we build a better service, because we feel like we truly, make the world a much better place. So, over the past 5 years, I committed, to my family, to our business. I want to travel at most twice a year.
Yeah.
Over the past 4 years, never tried more than twice. Business travels. This year, unfortunately, I already broke that rule, right? 3 times. So imagine, you round trip, right, from here to New York. Right? Look at the carbon emission, the impact, right? Essentially, literally, you have probably, have 20%, of your total greenhouse gases that your car emits over the entire year. Just one round trip from here to New York, right? So that's why we feel like we are part of making the world much better. Do all we can to make sure everybody start using the services like Zoom, right? It's a huge mission. That's why I think we are going to, innovate our service more and more.
So continue pushing in that
Absolutely.
boundary.
Hopefully in the future, if I have a call like a fireside chat session like this, I can join anywhere. I shake hands with you, you can feel like that, right? So that's our mission.
That's your guys' mission, to keep people more connected.
Yep.
Yeah. Tell me about, what do you look for when hiring product people? What is it that says, hey, this person really understands what we're about and customer happiness and really getting that feedback? And what are you saying? What do you see that's maybe more of a red flag when you hire product people?
I think first of all, we really like those people who, really have the passion, right? To see, I want to join Zoom. I know why this feature does not work, why I can help, right? The passion is number one important thing. So number two thing is, about the teamwork. You really, enjoy talking with the engineers and also talking with the customer as well. And so those two things are very important. Yeah.
Got it. So passion and teamwork are the keys for good product folks.
Absolutely. If the product manager can write a code a little bit, much better. So one stone kills two birds, right?
Yeah. So we talked a broader variety of topics. Any advice that you'd want to give the audience here today when it comes to building great products, what they need to keep in mind? Is it just, keep focused on having passion for customer happiness?
The way I look at this, I think, especially for product managers, the product is your baby, right? I think, if anyone, share with you, wow, this product sucks, you should, feel very, very embarrassed, right?
You should feel bad about
that. Very bad about that, right? And if everybody, really like your product, I think, that's a way to drive you to keep working hard, to deliver the best service, right? I think, because, life is short, right? If you can build something, you feel proud. All the users feel proud. In the future, when you get older, right, when you retire, looking back, you will be very, very proud of yourself. That's why I say to build the best product is very, very sustainable.
Yeah, so tie yourself to what you're trying to achieve and something beyond yourself and something that you can be really proud of.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, every day, if I get a very, very positive feedback about how customers are using Zoom, like a telemedicine, or maybe their parents, in the hospital, they cannot, go there physically, use Zoom, I feel very, very proud. I'm very, very happy. However, sometimes, people say, wow, your product today does not work, or you have that issues, you are very down. So that's why I say, keep working very hard, build the best service to make the world a much better place. I think that's something we all should work on. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Anything else you'd like to share today?
I don't know how many people who are still not using Zoom yet. So.
If you're not using Zoom already, take a look. It's an incredible product.
Thank you.
So cool. All right, Eric, thank you so much for taking the time and great talking.
Thank you.